Okay, we'll call this council regular session of order Wednesday, October 18th. The time is 9:45 p.m. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll open it up for visitor comments. If you'd like to come up and make a comment on something city-wise or whatever relatively important to us, state your name for the record.
Right, I'm gonna again comment about the dirt. We all know when I feel it's a corrupt process. You should vote no on that. And I'd like to know what the city is gonna do if you do vote no, because you've already got delivery of the dirt. I've never seen anything. Again, I've seen a lot of crappy things going on in this county and the city. This really does take the cake. As far as corruption, that you have a hearing after the dirt's delivered without a contract. Again, if you want to buy dirt, you put out an RFP, you do it, you want to sell land, you have a public hearing, you sell the land. You don't get the dirt and then decide that you're gonna do a land and then have a public hearing. That is not how it works. That is corruption. This is the third grade. If you want to teach a third grader about corruption, this is what you go. You'd say, this is what corruption is, this is what political corruption is. This is what you can understand at a third grade level. This is corruption.
Other visitor comments?
Jennifer Massey, St. Helens. I did listen to the meeting today. It was a little difficult with Wi-Fi via plane, but the 2 p.m. meeting. And so I was really pleased that there was discussion and there was a bunch of candid discussion. I think it's really great that the dialogue is happening, which is what our intent was. And to go back and look at all budget aspects, every bit of it, including the police department, and including all other budgets, see what's, needs to be cut, what can be done. That's great. I was also very interested about the St. Helens Police Department not being on the permit process. And I think that that's a good opportunity to improve, to probably alleviate a lot of frustrations and communication. So I'm going to be excited to hear about that. I think that should be a pretty easy fix to make sure everybody on the same page, especially people that are overseeing the safety in the St. Helens, they probably should be involved in that. The other thing I wanted to bring up is actually Councilman Gunderson. I actually applauded the fact that you brought up the opportunity for a levy. And I've been against other levies, but I think that the council should actually consider doing a levy to get ahead of the staffing. If you know what I'm talking about, go back and listen to the 2 p.m. meeting of the chief talk about getting ahead of the curve. We're stuck with the budget we have now. Maybe we get industry, maybe we don't. But I think that we should possibly look at that, but make sure it's not clear. We're concerned with permanent tax right now. That's what the theme seems to be, right? But if it's created, articulated, so it could be a non-permanent tax and it's very clear with no intention to, redo it after 4 years, maybe that will give an opportunity to get ahead and we can get the support from the citizens. So I strongly suggest that or encourage the council to think about that. The only comment I disagreed with today actually was the comment about the police chief putting on the uniform. I don't care if it's the chief of St. Helens. I don't care if it's Sheriff Pixley. I do not think that the police chief should be out on the street. There are several reasons for it, but one of my main reasons, they're supposed to oversee and enforce policy and procedure. If they are involved in that, they cannot be in that position to evaluate use of force, if things are done correctly. They're used to, we pay them for their brains, right? And to oversee to make sure everything is running efficiently. So might have been a comment, disagree with that. Last thing is the semiconductor facility. That's my jam. I oversee 370,000 workers. We build mega projects, the biggest ones right now, like in Arizona TSMC. I'm excited about the opportunity. The only thing I will say is that when we're building those projects, 'cause I'm a pipe fitter by trade too, I've done them, build them and oversee, and involved with Tesla Gigafactories, TSMC, Intel. That's my jam. So I'm super excited. But we have, there's not a few lawyers, there's a slew of lawyers that are involved in that. So when we are considering that, they go to places for specific reasons, it can work. But I would just caution the city council to make sure appropriate representation to look at that. That it's gonna provide job opportunities for people that actually live in this community. But otherwise, that was probably the best news of the day. And I don't usually say a lot of positive stuff, so that's all.
I think she actually got most of it,
It was fast.
we planned this stuff out, but he was quick today, but no, the bond thing though, that is a very touchy subject. I also own property in Scappoose right now, that school bond. And a lot of the talk on that was the sheriff levy that just passed. People are upset that they're paying $10 for that, now they're asking another $60. We don't want to be in that same situation. I think that might come back to bite us here when we ask for money for a local police department bond. They're gonna say, wait a sec, you guys just endorsed something last year. I think we mentioned that last year, but I'm 100% certain, like 99. Yeah, it's too late to fix the current problem, so,
Thank you. Okay, any other visitor comments?
Oh, you're good.
Hi there, Dave Lauritsen. I am a property owner and business owner here in St. Helens. First, I just want to say thank you for, this is kind of about the riverfront development project. I just want to say thank you for the project. First of all, it is amazing. Obviously, it's going to be a huge step of growth for our community. We're really looking forward to it being done, but at the same time, there's been a huge lack of communication that as business owners that we're seeing down there. I'm approaching you guys to see if we can come up with some kind of a plan to better communicate with business owners. It kind of, we've all been impacted, obviously, by the construction. I was just talking to someone during one of the breaks and said, I stay out of downtown. I'm staying away as much as I can until this construction's done. So clearly everyone is being impacted by that. We've had multiple times where our water has been shut off during business hours with no previous notice. Our gas has been shut off, which means our water heater then is shut off. So we come into business the next day without hot water. It's really unfair to be treated like this. The climax so far was last Saturday, when we showed up downtown and had steamrollers, asphalt trucks, excavators going through downtown. We've got tens of thousands of visitors, and it was really infuriating for all of the downtown business owners to see that. It didn't seem to be that there was any emergency that this was happening. It was causing this to happen. When we talked to the superintendent, he said that someone from the city had scheduled it to happen on Saturday, which just seems like absolute insanity to me. So that's what we've been told. I think they knew that they were going to get mobbed if they didn't leave, so they got their job done really fast and they left. But I would ask that we come up with some kind of a plan to communicate better, because again, it's really unfair. I know there's kind of a generic timeline for how things are happening, but as far as day-to-day operations go for businesses, that does nothing to help us. So I don't know if there's a way for us to say, like, this month we intend for this and this and this to happen. And I obviously know that's subject to change. I'm doing my own construction and it changes constantly. So I am very aware of that. If we're not on schedule or if things are going to be different, is there someone that can send out on Friday nights or something that says, this is what Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday looks like. You can expect your water to be off or on at this time, because it's really having a bad impact. And it's making.
You have Cal's number?
I do have Cal's number.
Okay, so, and I just want to speak on the natural gas thing. That was the asphalt this weekend. That was a total separate issue. That was natural gas
Correct.
entity. The city would never approve that on a Saturday. the company was hired by Northwest Natural. They were not Northwest Natural. Okay, that was down there, but they were hired by Northwest Natural.
Okay.
The confusion is that the supervisor. When they said hired by the city, that you were talking to was hired by Northwest Natural. Cause I got phone calls on the way back from Eugene, cause I'm like, what would they even be doing? This is Halloween town, everybody knows, don't, so. Just so, but Cal, if you have his number, is supposed to be notifying of updates when they're working in your area. So, and I know you're right in the heart of
There's
it.
been zero outreach. I did receive a response from Cal when I reached out to him earlier over the signs, which is another issue. Because, you know, in my opinion, from what I can see, at the end of business day, when the big trucks are gone and the excavators are put back behind the gate, there's really no reason for that huge road.
Dave,
closed.
I'll do some follow up on it and get back to you,
Yes,
okay?
I would
Make
appreciate
sure
that.
that you're connected with that Cal.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's hurting us
Yeah.
significantly. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, other visitor comments?
Hi, Jesse Laggers, long-term St. Helens resident, first time here, so. You're gonna hear a little bit more of the same, unfortunately, but, so I sit before you today as a citizen, a long-term employee of our town. To address several pressing concerns that our current events that are happening in our town, issues that I believe require our immediate attention and action. I'd like to bring to your attention a series of challenges that are affecting our community as well, our well-being and prosperity. As well as a few potential solutions that I think can help overcome this. First, I would like to highlight the ongoing parking problems and congestion caused by the trailers in our downtown area. While growth and development are essential for our city's progress, we cannot ignore the growing parking problems and congestion created by the Halloween town trailers. And this practice not only affects the accessibility of our downtown businesses, but it also poses safety concerns for our citizens, visitors, and vendors alike. I address this issue, to address this issue, I propose, maybe some stricter enforcement on parking regulations, designated parking areas for the trailers themselves. Community education campaigns and maybe an improvement of the public transportation during Halloween Town to reduce the number of vehicles that are there for Halloween Town events. In our downtown areas, as a lot of our vendors are absolutely hurting for spaces down there during that time for locals. Secondly, the issue of the unscheduled street closures, which we just heard about. During our business hours, including gas and water turnoffs without proper notifications, has created significant disruption for our community. And some of these disruptions have unfortunately coincided with the month-and-a-half long Halloween Town events on the weekends, leading into increased traffic and parking frustrations, which we already covered again. And costing a combined local businesses thousands of dollars of lost revenue and unnecessary overhead in times that they have already made into a high-stress environment. So there was a lot of us standing around doing nothing when we didn't have customers down there because of these closures. That costs a lot for everybody, and then we're not getting revenue, so that also costs a lot for everybody on that. So that it impacts quite larger than just that. Just to mitigate it, I think you already said it, a little advanced notification. Sort of thing, talking to Cal, getting that done, that would be very nice for everybody downtown. Lastly, this is something just a peeve of mine, but it's the presence of the dead storefronts or the or otherwise unoccupied or otherwise used for storage instead of leasable space. I believe is a blight on the vibrancy and cohesiveness of our downtown, and we need to attract large retail businesses in order to revitalize our downtown area to attract investments such as other large companies that we're currently looking to pull in. If we don't have a vibrant downtown and we don't have an active downtown, we're not going to get these customers, we're not going to get these places in because they want to have places that have this good fostering downtown and uptown areas. In conclusion, I would just like to implore you to hear us. That we are struggling in downtown during all of this, and thank you.
Okay, any others? Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and go into our first item of deliberations, which is sell the city owned property located on Kelly Street. A little bit, I said earlier, it was appraised at $67,000. Leahy expressed an interest in, for those of you watching, just a little clarification recap. On the surrounding properties, it was talked about that he's in the dirt work and it doesn't have to, it doesn't have to be The dirt can sit there, he can pay us cash for the $67,000. And the idea was that, him being a contractor and doing that line of work. And it needs, our industrial property needed things over there anyhow, that would probably the win for everybody. But it wasn't, it was expressed that he wanted to pay cash, and that's how he approached us. Just so everybody knows, it was not a backdoor deal that anybody's trying to make it sound, so, I mean, that's not. The payment does not matter on the value. And, he expressed interest in why he would have it in the property.
I've got a few comments. 600 yards of dirt at that price, we paid too much for dirt. And the land was appraised, but that's a 2-year-old appraisal. And the banks won't look at anything over 6 months. So I don't know, it'd be higher or lower, it doesn't matter. It's the price. Did we get the soils report on the dirt that he brought? Well, I haven't seen that. And one thing about building on a site, that mound of dirt all has to be moved and brought in layers. So there's a huge amount of time to move the dirt. So it came in probably at the wrong time. And I'm in agreement with some of the comments that I think we jumped the gun on this. Dirt for the site, that's fine, but it wasn't put out for sale. The old lady. I don't think it was handled right up front for citizens to be in favor of it.
I don't know that the agreement is a bad deal, but I have a problem with the process and the timing.
I mean, there's no doubt that the perception is not good. But there's no doubt about that. I mean, but what I can tell you is that, it was appraised, we have it right here. I don't know that that's 2 years old, I guess it is.
We've been working on it.
He has expressed interest in that for a long time.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Isn't the policy to fill out for bids on property for sale?
Not particularly, in this case, it would fall in with we could, with ramifications of our urban renewal. We have, the urban renewal agency, the flexibility to, adjust. And go with at least probably even a 2-year-old, appraisal will be justifiable within an urban renewal, because we know it's gonna spark a bigger development within that. And that's another thing, he owns the abutting property. And it needs an urban renewal and would be warehouses that create jobs, looking at economic development, the whole works. The appraisal is also set at the suitable fill rate, and that's what it was based on too, is that correct? I mean, my understanding, you read through it, for that, well, because it was a hole over there. If you remember, he brought all that in to that whole hospital area. And working around our little parcel, and I think it still is kind of working out a little bit, right? Still not filled up. Partly. Yeah. So, you know, we're just trying to make sense of city property that is landlocked and was a win-win for everybody. Damned if you do, if you're damned if you don't, you know, and he is known for walking dirt in. I think he's probably more expert at that than any one of us sitting up here. And I don't know him. I've never met this guy. This was staff that directed this. There's no backdoor shady corrupt, here. I've never even met him. I don't even know of him.
Well, it's not about.
I know, but I just didn't appreciate that.
If there's concerns about the process, you don't have to act on it. We can go back and do a legal review and
I think that's what we need to do. I agree. I can't argue with Counselor Hubbard's, suggestions, but I do want to say for the record that there was no ill intentions meant for this proposal. Like there was no, we didn't try to pull one over. We have no reason to. I mean, it's a landlocked piece of land. It's not worth very much to anybody else but this guy. But I do understand that we need to do it, the correct way, and we need to make sure that we are following guidelines. So
Okay, so, somebody needs to make a motion not to, accept the offer from Ken Leahy then. We'll,
Would we? I guess that would be the simplest.
yeah, will be.
Make a motion not to accept the offer
Yeah.
from Ken Leahy for exchange for 600 yards of dirt.
Yes.
I'll second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded, Council President Chilton.
I,
Councilor Fleury. Councilor, Gunderson. Aye. Councilor Hubbard. No, I as well. Okay, second item for deliberation is appeal the planning commission's decision on a conditional use permit, CPU 4.23 sensitive land permit. SL 4.23 floodplain and SL 5.23 wetlands. The sign. Airtime permit S 14.23. For new police station proposed to be located at the southeast corner of Old Portland Road and Custer Road intersection. Well, that's what we're debating now, so. I gotta grab that sheet, they got them all written down here.
I can remind you as needed.
Yes, thank you. So, again, so. For me, myself, I looked at the staff report, originally what the planning commission had. This was very much a different report than what, and it seemed like a public hearing. Than what. Cause I was even kind of confused on reading it, really, if you read it, but I'm pretty good at that. I've been doing this for about 7 years. And questioned some of the remarks, so. It's not in a floodplain. It's in the 500. The ordinance of 17-4. I'm told was referenced was the 100-year floodplain. The remarks that were made about that, correct?
Correct.
Okay. The building itself does not, there's a question about the landscaping being in. As to clarify, section 13, is that correct?
No, so the clarification for that, the request was if you approve it, that you would interpret critical facility to mean a building and not the land. And with reference to Oregon Structural Specialty Code, section 1604.5.
Who else wants to talk about what they heard? Any points? Was all hearing.
Yeah, it was, I will, so I was there for the planning commission meeting, and I've heard these and I've read the reports. I tend to base my decisions on the experts and the expert testimony. What I heard here was that the officers want it there. I think they deserve a building and it shouldn't be in the current situation right now. I don't think that's up to anybody's standards. And it just solidified what I had already heard, and that is with 2 hydrologists coming in and saying, you're gonna be okay. Us raising the building up 2 feet so that it's even out of flood zone that much more. And we have a secondary access road. I don't see why it shouldn't be built there. I don't think it's illegal by any means. I think it serves the community well. I think it's a great location, and I think it should move forward. I have no concerns about a flood.
like hearing the report from the police and how they can use the building and the area that would be a good response. We want to make a good presence. I think what the planning commission end of it, they're building it out of the floodplain. But if there's a flood, you can't get to it. So as far as doing all the right thing to get it out of the floodplain, yeah, they've met all that. But you've got 2 roads that are flooded, so they can't get there.
Except for the secondary access road.
Secondary access was put in because it's above the floodplain. It's got that outcropping of rock in wetlands, and so it has to narrow down to a substandard width. And they talk about letting a fire engine in, that's the criteria. So isn't the police station gonna be real busy if there's a flood like that? Aren't they gonna be trying to leave or fire trucks coming in, or, I mean, that's gonna be a busy road, that little access, which is the only way in and out.
If we don't flood like that, Russ, we got bigger problems than, they're out,
Very simple problem that,
well, there's a lot of lower areas. But I'm gonna let you finish your comment, I apologize.
you know, I just think the facility is gonna be very busy when there's floods and people are needing help. So that's gonna be an active site. I think the permitting on this and the sewer issues for the building will be a big issue. Back access, I don't think is an answer. We spent so much money on this engineering for that site. I think we can still save. Being in the building business, I'm always value engineering. I'm trying to get a good product for the least amount of money. And I see a lot of money being spent just to be able to put it in that site. Special hold downs and foundations, I know that's gonna happen. Engineered fill takes a lot of money. But you've got architects worked with the police, they've got a really nice building, how it operates for the police. There's the positive I see in it, and that could be located somewhere else. So, not to hold bias in the situation. That still makes me biased. I'm trying to look at it from the standpoint of the facility really operating under a crisis situation. And save some money for the city and put that money towards.
So I think that it's pretty cut and dry. The facility is out of the flood zone. We heard that a billion times today. It's pretty simple. I think that the real question is like, Councilor Hubbard touched on is the intersection. The intersection is what we're gonna see a disaster. Maybe one flood like that, we're gonna see in 500 years. That's the potential that we're looking at, just to give a scale of what, this isn't something that's gonna happen every, rain season. That's not something we're looking at. This is like catastrophic event. And so we're looking at the intersection and being able to access the police station, which is the point of having the secondary access road. I think that if the fire department looks at it and they say, I can get a fire truck down there, I think any police vehicles that we have are gonna be able to use that secondary access road. I don't think it needs to be expanded. I believe our experts that went out there, I believe our police and I believe our fire station, and I believe that they have looked at it, and if they believe that that secondary access road is gonna work in the event of an emergency, then that's what I'm gonna go with. So that's what I got.
I guess I can honestly say that I did keep an open mind because I kind of went back and forth, I think, 100 times during our discussion today. Going back to Jacob's question, does it make sense? First glance to me, no, it doesn't make sense to put a building that close to a flood zone. 2 or 3 years ago, when I first saw the site, I thought, why would anybody pick that site? But I'm not the one using that site. I'm not a designer, I'm not an engineer. And today we heard from the experts that are going to be using that facility. We heard from engineers, people that went to school to do this stuff, designers. I feel comfortable moving forward with this. The problem that I have the problem that I have is the process. And how did we get this far and how did we spend this much money? And this didn't come up a long time ago. How did this not get caught before? We're past that now. Just looking at the pictures, it's close to a flood zone. And my thought is, why couldn't we move it a little and put the parking lot in the flood zone rather than the building? But again, that's not my area of expertise, but I guess I feel good. I trust our experts, our police officers and those that are going to be using the facility and those that have, I guess, they gone to school and are engineers, because I'm not.
I would have to agree with the engineers, just from a standpoint, and because I think it does matter a little bit, is a history lesson is right in that corner. Used to be a guy named Louis who used to have a secondhand store right across from Johnny's. He had hunchback and he used to have a cart that he'd go around town and put all this stuff he'd buy from garage sales or get for free, and he'd put them in his secondhand store, and that's how he made his living. And there was also about 3 houses right there on the corner where it's being proposed. And then even beyond that, with 2 more houses, and that's where the asphalt is down there by the ball field. And in one of those houses had a full basement, and actually Terry Swain and Ben Swain, Terry Swain and his brother Joe, and the Swains were boosters, lived there. Terry still lives in the area. I said, hey, just curious. You live down there? He goes, yeah, and I didn't know I had a full basement. He said, you had a full basement, never flooded. The staff report, I apologize for this comment, but there is no way the 96 flood or the 96 flood that we had even remotely, because you said on a 100-year flood, 5 to 6 foot wall of water. I am 6 foot. There was that much, and it was completely between the stoplight and the bridge that came through, and it was maybe a foot. And that was, yes, exactly. I got people saying that. And so I can understand where the planning commission might have been, and you could talk to there's 1,000 people that worked the mill. Even in 1955, there was a lot. That are alive today.
I talked to people at the PUD that worked in that water and they said 4.5 feet. So that's where I got my.
It wasn't 4.5 feet down there on Datcaster Road. They traveled it every day. Do you think Boise would? So, Boise's a big corporation. There's no way they would have never ever even allowed that to happen. They would have fixed it in a minute because they were millions of dollars a day operation. That's what we lost here. That's not true. And I don't know who, I'd like to know who told you that, because I can remember since about 6 years old, and I'm 50, so. Uncles that actually one was killed down there, Larry Locken. You know, and then actually his cousin, Bill Carpenter, first cousins, both my aunt grandma's oldest boy and my Aunt May's oldest boy, were both killed down at that mill. So I have a little bit of history with knowing that area. So again, I didn't want to go there, but I can understand where planning commission was hesitant. But listening to the experts reaffirm it and know that it's not in the 100-year floodplain, which is where the ordinance that the legal minds are trying to go in the 500-year, which does not apply to the ordinance, and they keep mixing that in. And again, on the staffing report, it talked about 2.4 inches. I don't know how technical you can get when you say 2.4 inches into a 100-year floodplain. I read it all. I do my homework, I do my due diligence. I try to sit up here and serve my community best with the information I have at hand and why decisions were made. So I educate myself. I was really confused on that one too, I must say. So, but after that, today, it's all a lot clearer and a good presentation, so. Would somebody like to make a motion?
And let me, I just want to make sure that the things that are covered. So based on everything that was stated, if the motion is for approval, there are 4 things. One is whether or not you want to interpret the critical facility to mean the building and not the land, with reference to Oregon Structural Specialty Code, section 1604.5. So that was one of the things noted. And that would, you as the legislative body have the supreme interpretive power. So then that would be building, it's not the site improvements. So that was one thing. And then the other 3 things were modifications to the conditions of approval. One of those was condition 2A, Roman numeral 4, that pertained to the fire department connection and fire hydrant location. And I did talk to fire marshal about that, but that's okay. To delete condition 2A, Roman numeral 13, that pertained to the existing sign because it was out of compliance. But the Cascades things is removed now. And then also regards to condition 2A, Roman numeral 14, that the plans show a future pedestrian passageway.
So if somebody would like to just so moved, it's okay, so moved what council just stated, that could be a motion. If you would like to, you can say that or try to repeat what you just said.
As stated by the city planner.
I was gonna say,
Here,
yeah. So moved as his staff recommendation.
That requires a second. I'll second.
Okay, a motion's been made and seconded to approve. The conditional use permit with the staff recommendations. Any discussion? Council President Chilton.
Aye.
Mr. Gunderson, aye. Mr. Hubbard,
Nay.
I'm an aye as well.
and what will happen is we will bring findings at a future meeting for signature.
Okay, now, on to our next deliberation, which is comprehensive plan and zone map amendment. CPZA 1.23 at 58646 McNulty Way, Columbia. I'll just ask you guys just to go for a minute, okay?
But
Well, it's just better. Just for a sec.
See the vote.
Well.
We're getting kicked out of class again.
You're not.
It could be the facial expression, it could.
happens a lot. Yeah, I know that. I had to do it. Okay, first of all, I appreciated the quickness and the right down to brass tacks on our ordinances and our goals, right out of everything, right out of our our books, so definitely appreciated that. Any comments from?
A couple thoughts. I also appreciated the presentation. Appreciated that a lot of the information there, pretty much all of the information there came from our own reports. They might be a little outdated. We do get that grant, so we can work on some accurate data. But to me, it was pretty clear that most likely, yes, we still do have a surplus of industrial lands and a shortage of commercial property. I appreciate that they came here with their intentions of what they plan to do with the property. It's my understanding they probably didn't have to do that. And I know a lot of the discussion revolves around the use of the property, but in my opinion, that's not really what we're looking at tonight. Again, they're not going anywhere. Property is theirs. This will allow them to utilize the property as they see fit. You'll see that it's going to have a major impact on the traffic I think it was in the report that you sent, Jacob, there were a couple possible conditions there. I think I would feel better about rezoning just the portion along Gable Road. The other one is already developed. I don't see the need for a rezone. And then also would definitely insert the condition that future plans need to come before the planning commission before anything on that site is approved. My thoughts.
You're talking about mixed one parcel, not the other.
Again, I don't see the need to change the one if it's already developed. And I do see the need, I guess, to preserve any light industrial that we have, because I think that is important. So again, I just don't see the need to rezone those. But, yeah, I'm not an expert in this either.
Kathy, maybe it would be helpful to pull up the map again if the council wants to discuss that as an option. Thank you.
I see what you're saying. But what would we do? Disadvantage of not doing that. We can see advantage of doing it.
Well, if I may, the public hearing is closed, so that would mean that CCMH couldn't do expansion of their facility in the future on that property. If, you know, they wanted to remodel, they're limited to light industrial uses. That would be one downside. But I also, you know, Sundin raises a good point that we do retain some light industrial pocket there.
Interesting, an interesting proposal.
So their existing facility to maintain industrial.
Yeah. That's what I was kind of wondering about too. What
I don't know what good would do either way is.
Either way, I don't think, I mean, if they're not. They would have to come again to planning to be able to do something else on that parcel. How did it get there in the first place?
County,
It's an industrial.
County.
county,
County, okay.
Well, my feeling on it is, you know, I mean, it meets all the qualifications. There's no reason not to, go ahead and move forward. You know, go line of, talk about economic development and the surplus and showed and proved that we have surplus in industrial property. And, the PPR. That was stated for the apartment complex. I don't see it being an issue at all, period. It's just about the zoning. The rest of that comes later. You know, this isn't just the zone, and we have to stick to the facts on zoning.
Get away industrial property.
Yeah, that's, yes, you'd be changing it from light industrial to commercial. But obviously, I appreciate that not going anywhere and not selling it. So, you know, and I'll just say this because there is a lot of other factors that I've heard. Is that you know, been a topic when CCMH first got here. Way back when, in Tony's shoes, I mean, and everybody's been scared every step of the way of everything that CCMH continues to manage, is managed every one of them, and they're not controversial, they're serving. Bottom line is, we have the need in our area for mental health services. Coming back from the mayor's conference. We talked about this, drug addiction and mental health. Now we ranked 48th and 49th out of 50 states. And the lack of even having the staffing, if we wanted to start working on it tomorrow immediately. The lack of staffing and the facilities. So, I just know I've lived through, like I said, the history, and Cornerstone was very, you know, first CCMH building came into the cornerstone to everything that's. Well, everybody's been in big time fear of.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, I'm hearing. Approval with all conditions in the staff report, 1, 2, and 3, approval either way. That's where you're leaning,
Well, yeah,
but I haven't quite heard from her.
Russ kind of, what Russ said, what would that benefit, you know, mix.
I think I said it with the planning commission, and also Shauna said it tonight, if that's their operation, if they can incorporate something, workforce, get people back into the workforce and that sort of thing. But I guess the zoning issue is still, you know, that's the main thing, so. You know, I just. When I see that red start growing in an industrial area, see people getting really upset around that because they're there because it's the industrial area. And now this is creeping up to them and that's not why they bought there and working there. And so we get a commercial with different sound issues and things next to a commercial area that can cause problems later on. So that's why I was just hold on it. But I think it, you know, it's, they're already there, big presence, and so I'm leaning towards positive.
It's hard not to think about the anticipated use, but I don't remember who it was, but somebody I thought brought up a good point and said, if it was anybody else, would you approve this? And I think that's
Yes,
something.
that
to
was
consider.
some testimony, yep.
But again, I don't think it's out of line for that area. As Jenny said, it's kind of a trend.
So, I heard you talking about modifying, are you still okay with this, the applicant for original application, the way it is submitted? Yeah.
So the staff's recommendation was just condition 1, which is the trip cap of about 1,107 daily trips within the TSP planning horizon. So any development cannot trigger more than that trip cap without process.
No question. Just on the. Oh, God, it's slow to drag their feet about that intersection. And that's the main problem from our city standpoint, is that intersection. I don't want to take away any spots that are allotted for that site, but would that be something that we could say, okay, no more than 700? We heard, you know, I don't know, that's not, and I'm not here to micromanage, but I'm thinking about that.
You could lower the trip cap. If you feel like that would make you more comfortable.
You know, that would make me more comfortable, you know, I don't know what 700 does, I think that would, yeah. It would just make me feel better.
No idea. I don't know what it means. We'd have to call our traffic engineer.
Yeah, I don't think it would be detrimental hearing other.
There's more than 700 employees there at a time. Yeah, there's like 250 at the Met, right, with clients.
Would that be both properties, by the way, or?
No, it would be any new development or redevelopment. So if they did a complete redevelopment of both, it would trigger that.
I would be more comfortable who lowered it to 700 or 800, just because I don't.
I think based on the numbers we heard from the apartments, I think that's.
Yeah. What,
That's probably
1,700?
closer to what it should be.
1,500 for apartments, so 300 unit. Can we amend that?
Sure, yeah.
Alright.
Yeah.
Yeah, to 700.
How do we come up with that number though? We're not.
I don't know.
Well, that would be 70 single family dwellings as a comparison,
That would be 70.
70 single family
That would be
dwellings.
a 70 lot subdivision,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because each single family.
Yeah, so it doesn't mean 11.
Yeah.
It would be 11 for sure. So, yeah. All right.
That's way generous at 700.
Yeah. Okay, I think I'll make a motion to accept the applicant's plan. With the one, the daily trips to instead of 1100 to 700. Okay. Been made and seconded, conversation. Everybody? And forever? I as well. Okay, other counselors, we're done. Take a little break, a little recess. We'll come back and do a little.
They got more. Oh, bummer.
Okay, we're back from a little short recess. We're gonna approve and authorize for signature for agreement with Columbia Pacific Economic Development District for community development block grant administration services and sewer capacity improvement project. 5, First Amendment to Emery and Sons Construction Group for design build contract for design and construction of replacement of 2 mg reservoir, 2 million gallon reservoir, and then 6. 6 amendment to OTAC Inc. agreement for South First Street, Standard Streets Road and Utility Extension Project, and 7 is not on there, it's coming off for the record. We can put that at the voting at the end.
I move we approve and or authorize for signature items 4, 5, and 6 as read.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve and authorize for signature 4 through 6. Councilor Hilton,
Aye.
Councilor Pendy. Aye. Councilor Gunderson. Aye. Councilor Hubbard. Aye. I'm an aye as well. Agenda for acceptance, 8 library board minutes dated September 11th, 2023, 9 Parks and Trails. Commission minutes dated September 11th. 2023.
Motion to accept the library board minutes and the trail commission minutes dated September 11th, 2023.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to accept consent agenda. Council President Chilton.
Aye.
Councilor Sunday.
Aye.
Councilor Gunderson. Aye. Councilor Hubbard.
I'll abstain because I still got into all this.
Sure. Appreciate that, and I'm an aye as well. Consent agenda for approval, council regular session and executive session minutes dated October 4th, 2023. 11 declare surplus property, K9 officer rider retirement. 12 declare surplus property, real property description in packet. With that. I know, 13 OLCC licensing, 14 accounts payable bill list.
Make a motion that we approve consent agenda items 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14.
Second that.
Okay, motions have been made and seconded to approve consent agendas 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. Any discussion?
I've got a question on 12. Descriptions in the packet. I didn't.
No, I had a few. That's why I stopped right there.
Did we not get it or did we get it?
It was in the packet.
Yeah, what if,
So the first one is the one we're
Second one
looking.
we're scratching.
Yeah.
yeah,
2, 4, 5, or 7 school, 16, 17, 18, and 19 of lot 62, city of St. Helens.
yeah,
Where is that? Where-
That's 17.
Tanner Homes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't want to declare that surplus property, we want to scratch those. And get appraisals on those, that's where we're at.
Yeah.
So on all the properties, we talked about that. Yes. So,
This way I don't have to follow.
all right, so I've already had a motion been made and seconded, would somebody like to amend?
I'd like to amend it to, not include, item 12, the surplus property,
Okay, would somebody like a second the amendment?
and to
Oh,
table that for, I guess, further discussion.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so we have a motion, but we have to do the amended motion. Have the amended motion first.
That's gonna happen.
So, I have a motion to amend the motion. It was made by Counselor Hubbard, seconded by Jessica, to amend, Counselor Chilton.
Aye.
Counselor Sundin. Counselor Gunderson, Counselor Hubbard, and I'm an aye as well. Okay, so now we're going into our motion that was amended. Which
Take care.
is for the 12. We're not approving that. Counselor President Chilton.
aye.
Counselor Sundin. Counselor Gunderson. Counselor Hubbard, and I'm an aye as well. Okay, work session items, and I have some here that we carried over. And this is gonna be two, and then we'll look at this one, the last one.
So the first couple of things is, Counselor Gunderson has, greatly, decided to step up and join some of the boards that have positions on them. So we're gonna create that motion as long as he's still willing to accept those two. One is the Columbia Learning Center Board and one is to the Fire Board.
Just for clarification, do I need to go on and apply for that? That's my understanding.
That is what he said, yes. So I'm gonna go ahead and make the first motion for the Columbia Learning Center Board. I move to appoint Counselor Mark Gunderson to the Columbia Learning Center Board of Directors to replace Patrick Berkeley as the City of St. Helens representative.
All right, motion's been made and seconded to appoint Mark to the Columbia Learning Center. Council President Chilton,
Aye.
Dr. Sunday.
Aye.
Councilor Gunderson, do you accept?
I,
Councilor Hubbard. And I'm not as well.
All right, the next one.
Funny, we see nothing about it.
Okay, I think he's getting cold feet here a little bit now. You're right. I move to authorize Counselor Mark Gunderson to apply to be on the Columbia River Fire and Rescue Board of Directors.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to have Mark Anderson apply for the fire board. Any discussion? I don't think so. Council President Chilton,
Aye.
Councilor Sunday.
Aye.
Councilor Gunderson.
Aye.
Councilor Hubbard,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. Okay, the next one, we could make a motion, or we can look this over. You have the copies in front of you before we even, I think we should, of course, it was by our attorney. But we had the presentation earlier, and this is just a earnest money agreement to lock up land and do due diligence, and with a non-refundable 10%, which allows. That's why it's Project Sprint. It talked about how our staff's really good to work with. They that's what they're hoping they can continue to get, and whether to find out whether it's a yay or nay. Because it's still a ways away from the manufacturing coming in, but so just take a little bit to look it over, or if we don't feel comfortable, we can always have real soon, just on this specifically if we had to.
Don, can you speak to it a little bit about where this came from and?
Yeah, I mean, part of most development proposals, we get a commitment from the developer. They want to commit for us before they're spending resources on evaluating the property. And this is a non-binding letter of intent called LOI often. And it says to purchase real property. It's actually a purchase and lease. As you read through the document, it's non-binding and it's a 90-day term. They made a deposit to the city for 610,000. They want to put it in an escrow as earnest money. It's 10% of that's non-refundable. Again, it's our agreement is that we're not going to negotiate with anybody else in this 90-day term. But not too unrealistic, and just see if we can get to yes with them. None of the price or terms or anything is that's all to be negotiated. So, and if we don't like it, the price, we don't like the terms, we don't accept it.
We're nothing wrong that.
Non-binding.
Yeah,
So no promises at this point, it's just.
so, yeah.
They're expressing that they're interested and we're.
Yep.
Bill? Go ahead.
Someone in his office, a real estate attorney. Yeah.
I'd like to read it over, so I'd like to.
I'd like to dissect it a little bit as well.
Is everybody okay with having another hearing just on it? Because I don't wanna have to wait a long time. Because we do have staffing, that has been working diligently on it and, be fiscally responsible. That was part of the why they agreed to 10% non-refundable, knowing that our time is money too, so. It's like, what, couple days?
They could like do a Zoom meeting on Friday or something.
We could absolutely do a Zoom
I'll
meeting,
be out of town.
okay, but we could do a Zoom meeting and we don't,
Thursday.
it'd be nice to have us all there, but. we don't-
I would like to, if we could do Thursday, I can do tomorrow night.
I can look at.
Rafi needs at least 24.
4 hours.
24
Out
hours.
at 11 o'clock tomorrow.
Nope, that's goes out Monday.
It's good money. I mean, that's.
Yeah.
They're, you know.
Yep.
I'll be tired on Monday. Yeah, I'll be too tired.
I just know they're expecting, that's what I think their project sprint, and this has been their MO.
A lot of momentum here.
Yes. Yeah, and it would be really nice just to. It was drawn up by our attorney, I started getting halfway through it before we started all talking, but I'm just gonna continue to read as first I've seen it too. It may take me a good 15 minutes, but what we signed up for.
We're not gonna vote on it tonight, so can you read it tomorrow?
Yeah, I wanna go through this a little more
Yeah,
in depth. I feel good about it.
so we can take it with us and.
Okay, can we get it before Friday, Mark,
I can try to do, we're just heading down to Fort Stevens, so I could probably do it. I don't know about cell coverage.
Should take it with you and read it, and if you have any questions, call John or call Eagle.
What are you talking about? Voting on
Yeah.
it? Yeah,
Do we need to do it by Zoom? Is that?
We can, yeah, that would make,
That way, yeah.
I mean, we have to,
do it.
yes,
Yeah, just call.
no, that has to be an official meeting.
And what, if we do it at a certain time, I can just put off leaving.
And I don't expect it to be but 15 minutes probably, I mean,
Yeah.
unless there's. And we'll make sure we have
I'll
legal
make
there,
Friday work, do this phone call.
we'll make sure we have legal there too.
Well, and perhaps Sean can send an email to us all with who to contact if we have questions about the contract. So that we can ask the questions ahead of time and.
If you do have questions, just run them. It would be most efficient if you just run them through me and I'll get either someone at the meeting to answer your questions.
For sure,
Otherwise,
because we can't mess around with it.
So,
Too, I think all of us expressed interest in touring the industrial property site. I still like to pursue that.
Yeah, I wanna see what they're putting their money down on. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, and the nice thing is if you, and you'll get a chance to read this, but they're not looking, they're like, resource help, we know, it's up to you. We like the facility, we like the site.
That's
Yeah.
fine, but it's a business deal, and it's a big deal, so.
Very good,
Remember, this is non-binding too, so there's still plenty of time to get all of the.
That's why you gotta read it over and binding,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so I just.
Take their money, something's binding.
Yeah, Well, I just like there's a lot of, a good presentation with a lot of different players and a lot of different activity going around this. So it's, I mean, the most promising thing I've heard in Columbia County for a long time. A long time, yeah, so.
Friday morning.
Okay, we're gonna skip our reports, just so everybody knows, and we are,
Quick, I didn't wanna, I know he's listening, but wanna thank Ryder for his service.
oh, yeah.
He's retired.
He's going to live with
Surplus.
he's going to live with.
Surplus.
It's gonna be.
Oh, we're shooting for Friday afternoon or Friday lunchtime, is everybody? Noon?
We'll make it work.
It could be call-in or
Off my office door from.
a little, you can call in to Zoom too.
Friday noon works for me.
Does that work for everybody? Friday at noon. Friday at noon, okay? All right, with that, we are adjourned.
We're getting in Zoom.
Friday at noon.
This nightmare mode.
Holy cow, what